Hi, my brothers and sisters. I'm going to read for you a vision that God gave me 23 years ago, and it's very long, and I have written it down before I even read the Bible. And when I started writing, I actually was going through reading it today, and I see so many things that I write today that I actually saw or comes to light through this vision. And things are always revealed to us all the time. So when I was reading it today, I was like, wow, I write about that all the time. And I'm gonna have to break this up into several different videos because I can't upload it. If it's too long, I can't do it. So I'm going to go ahead and start. I'm going to try to hurry through it, but the biggest thing is to see that God is the only truth. Jesus Christ is the only truth. His word. You can't trust anything else. You can only trust in God. You can only trust in Jesus, which is God. So let me set the scene. I was at work, so I was awake, and suddenly I was in like this thick mist, and there's trees. I could see trees when they were close, and just before I start reading it, when the mist starts to fade away, um, there's a huge circle of trees, and in the very center is a castle, and so that's just the scene that I want to set. It's trees all around, and then this huge clearing with a castle right in the middle. So I'm gonna go ahead and start. The fog was so thick in the air that any man not set in mind, body, and spirit would surely suffocate with madness and face certain death. Time seemed to slow almost to the point of stopping. A fire burned in the soul of each man in this small group. They were on foot as to feel every small change in their surroundings, as they knew that death could swallow any one of them at any moment. Suddenly, the choking fog began to dissipate, swords in hand, each man making his way into the open air. In their horror and unbelieving eyes of the men, they saw their homeland utterly destroyed. Everything in view was unnatural. The castle and land were completely covered in evil. Nothing growing, no trees, no grass, nothing. The castle was surrounded by complete darkness. Not that you couldn't see, but it was complete evil. The mighty warrior at the front of this small group of men took off like an arrow shooting out of a bow, running straight for the castle, his sword in hand. The other men desperately trying to keep up, as their leader was in a headlong race to the castle. Suddenly, out of nowhere, out of the ground, came thousands of unearthly, ungodly-looking creatures, with hate and destruction in their ugly faces. Without missing a step, the mighty warrior carved a path through the ungodly horror. His sword sang the song of death as it destroyed everything in its path. The other men with him finally catching up to join their leader and help carve the way through this unnatural horde of evil. From a bird's eye view, the scene looked utterly hopeless in reaching the castle. The warriors slowing in their progress of reaching the bridge due to the overwhelming number of this thick, demon-infested gathering of destruction. The leader of these men never taking his eyes off of his goal. He never, ever loses sight of his goal, which is the castle. The men were suffering great pain as the snarling, razor-like teeth and claws ripped the flesh from their bodies, as they had on no armor or shields to slow them down. The scene was that of a giant tornado of flying, distorted bodies, with its center being a whirlwind of flashing steel sinking into unnatural, stinking flesh. The men in the center of this tornado of battle slowly pushing forward with great focus and determination, swords flashing and smashing in every direction. It seemed to take hours, but in reality only a short time, as they were guided in their holy mission. Suddenly, the men, bleeding and exhausted, made one final desperate push forward. With swords smashing, they found themselves on the bridge and immediately disappeared into the mouth of the castle. Once inside the castle, the men took only a moment to reflect on their lives leading up to this point, a reflection of past years and special moments in their quest that had led up to this moment in time, thinking of their families and friends. Their leader also remembering these times, and also felt his heart pulling him to do the job that God had sent him here to do. Suddenly, jolted back into their reality, they saw each other, covered in his and his brother's blood. They could they could feel the heaviness of the evil surrounding their very beings. In front of them were two sets of stairs, one leading to the right, one leading to the left, in this huge entrance of the castle. It was very dark and gloomy, sinister. It used to be a place of beauty and safety, but not anymore. Something needed to change. Suddenly, the men were on the move. Their leader went straight to the stairs that was on the left and ascended with great silence and speed. The others followed with no hesitation. The only sound that they made was the sound of their breathing, as it was heavy from the fierce battle that they had just gone through and the heaviness of the atmosphere. At the top of the staircase, they turned left and went down the long hallway. The feeling of madness about to take over them was ever so present. It was a battle of the mind at this point. All kinds of horrible thoughts went through their minds. Not their brave leader. He had only one thought going through his mind, and that was to destroy this evil and restore the land to be as it was. He knew the battle ahead was for everything, and there was no other way. They passed several rooms as they raced down the hallway, not paying attention to any of them until one door. This door the mighty warrior stopped at and gazed at for a split second before opening it. As the door swung open, a dark, gloomy, sinister, invisible wave hit the men. It knocked most of them down to the ground, and the others were drained to the point of unconsciousness. Their leader stood his ground, his struggle to keep his own sanity, pushing through the darkness running through his mind, and upholding to the truth and righteousness of all goodness. All evil and wickedness that was attacking him fled. He now felt different, humbled, strengthened, renewed. He turned to two of his men and helped them up. Then he turned, facing the doorway, and entered. I'm going to have to cut it off right there, and I'll continue.